Thanks so much for tuning into the trade setup with me, Niraj Shah. And it doesn't seem like that the market sentiment is very positive today. The global markets were iffy. Futures are quiet currently. Asia, I reckon, with the dollar strength and the yen at the brink, if you will, on the levels front, is also a bit nervous with Nikkei down about 1.22%. So there is a bit of a sedate morning that we have, and hence not surprising that while we are sub 24,000, the implied open suggests about 63 odd points at sub 24,000 odd levels for our markets. So, you know, it's almost become evident now that if the mantra until maybe August or mid-September was buy the dip and buy any dip, it's now become sell the rise and sell any rise, because the earnings cuts are weighing in on the sentiment. Yesterday, Abhay Agarwal was on air and he said you might see a slide to 22,000 as well. Even if that is exaggerated, 23 doesn't seem to be out of whack if you want to trade at closer to average long-term multiples of 19 times, because we are currently at maybe 21 times or thereabouts, or 22 times depending on how severe the earnings cuts will be. The inflation sizzle will probably put the banks on back foot today, because now, and maybe even the NBFCs in particular, because, or real estate, because a December cut is out of the window completely from our market's perspective as well, independent of what the Fed does, by the way. So that's part two. Construction stocks are mixed, but Q2 print is largely positive. So maybe that's one bucket you want to watch out for. We'll talk about some of the results today, by the way. So keep that in mind. And I thought, if you look at the market sentiment currently, yes, it is nervous, but we probably in an air pocket rather than a storm. Now, therefore, will we be very volatile, choppy? No. Will we bounce a little bit here and there and stay and have those gashes of volatility? Maybe yes. Will we come out of it? Very likely, because it doesn't seem to be a full-blown storm. I think that is at least the sentiment. Rhythm Desai in his note yesterday wrote this very well. And in the interview also he mentioned that once the government spend comes back, maybe some of this will come back. So maybe the next quarter or a couple of quarters, you probably just be careful about not making too many losses. There are listings today. Swiggy and Acme Solar both subscribed just about okay. And you know, this is the key indicator is where the primary market subscriptions are looking very, very off. I mean, there is a new IPO opening today, Zinca Logistics Solutions. A couple of notes have said the subscribe as well, but don't know if the sentiment lends itself to it. Let's see. Let's hope for their this thing, and if indeed they're going to make money for investors, then they get subscribed well, but remains to be seen. My colleague Sajid has done the IPO, and you might want to tune in for that at some point of time to understand what the company is if you want to put in money there. What about stocks to watch today? Well, chart for PNB Housing, the first one. A holder seeks to sell up to $273 million in a block trade. I've given a thumbs down because the price is 939.3 a piece. The current price is 983. So very likely PNB Housing will see a bit of a downtick today. Now, some thumbs ups at the start. Polyplex. Let's start with some good news, right? So earnings, Polyplex. Revenues, sorry, now I've given it a thumbs up, not a thumbs down, but revenues up 10.6%. at 1739 versus 15272 crores. EBITDA margins at 11% versus 7.7%. Net profit at 164 crores versus 48.3 crores. So we're starting with the first few, which are a thumbs up. And then from Sula Vineyards, we'll go to the thumbs downs. So these are a few thumbs up, starting off with Polyplex, good numbers, very likely could react positively. MetPlus could react positively as well. Revenues were up 11.93% at 1576 versus 1408 crores. Margins expand on that base, 190 basis points. And net profit up 178% at 39 crores versus estimated 27 crores. Now, why did this happen? The store level EBITDA margin came in at 10.2 versus 9%. And this is because the private labels have, the share has gone up to 18%. Typically, if you're a private label selling, your margins are much higher, and that's what MetPlus seems to have done. I would suspect that this could have a bit of a positive reaction. Ashoka Buildcon, a thumbs up. Revenues up 15%, 2489 crores. EBITDA margins to 1110 basis points, but up from 25.25 to 36.35. Look at that expansion, as a result of which the net profit number looked very, very solid, up 331%, 462 versus 107. Strong numbers, could react positively. So could KNR. Despite a one-off, just look at the numbers. Revenues up 87%. look at the EBITDA margin expansion from 22.25 to 44.73. This is the biggest EBITDA margin expansion that I've seen in this earnings season. Net profit, 580 crores versus 143. There are one-offs here in this 583. The actual number slightly lower, but good set of numbers and could react positively. Okay, now I'll breeze through some of the others. BSC, strong numbers again. Revenues up 22%, net profit up 31%, margins much or almost in line with estimates. Very likely the stock could react positively to this. EIH Hotels, very strong numbers. Revenues up 10%. Slightly better than estimated. EBITDA margin 259 basis points higher for EIH at 29.71. The estimates were 26.3. Net profit up 41%. So EIH Hotels is the other one that could have a bit of a positive reaction. Nykaa, decent numbers on the net profit front for Nykaa. Net profit up 44% and therefore could be a positive mover today for Nykaa. Revenues and margins are okay, but the net profit number is very strong. So that one could be a decent one to monitor in trade today. Okay, move on to Kirloskar Oil. EBITDA margin up 405 basis points at 19.53. Net profit up 60% at 125 crores versus 78. So good numbers, viewers. Watch out for Kirloskar Oil. Could be a decent one. Now come the bad ones very quickly. Sula Vineyards. Are people not drinking wine or are people not drinking Sula wine? Because look at the numbers. Revenue is down 1.5%. Almost in line. Yes, the numbers are above estimates, but it's a shabby set of numbers. 782 basis points margin dip, 25.75 versus 33.58. Net profit down 39% or 40%. Not a good quarter. Bosch also mixed. Revenues flattish, margins just about expanding. Net profit is down 46% at 536 crores. But of course, that was due to a one-time gain. So a bit difficult to say, and which is I've kept it here. Now, some weak numbers include a Greaves Cotton, PNC Infratech, NMDC Steel, and Technocraft. So all of these four, one by one, they'll come on the screen, but all of these four have had a bit of a weak quarter, and therefore the reactions could be negative on each of these. So do keep an eye out. Even Technocraft, the EBITDA margin looked very, very weak, and therefore could have a bit of a negative reaction. So keep this in mind. Lastly, Aurobindo, ARM has received a GMP certificate, could be positive for that. And Varun Beverages has made an acquisition, which brokerages say is very constructive for the stock. So do watch out for this one. Jeffries has, Macquarie's come out with a note with 4 initiation buys. You'll need to watch NDTV Profit, the channel, to try and get more about this. Thanks so much for tuning in to the trade setup today, though.